you are enjoying the sample quilt you made. You did such wonderful work. Behind me, you can see our next quilt. It's a beautiful pattern. You will use the same skills that you used in your sample quilt. Cutting the fabric, squaring the fabric, sewing a half-inch seam, assembling the quilt using the pillowcase method, and tying the quilt. Oh, there! I feel something in my pocket. Is that you, Inchworm? Yes, it is Inchworm. Inchworm, come on up. Yes. Just getting up from your nap, I see. Yes, you are. Hey, Inchworm, this is the quilt we'll be doing. Yes, it's called a strip quilt. There are many ways to describe a quilt. This is a strip quilt. It uses long strips of fabric and assembled in a pattern. Also, it is a pillowcase quilt, and it has been tied. And one other thing you need to know is that the color scheme is complementary. That means that it uses two colors on the color wheel that are on opposite ends. Here's the color wheel. A popular pair of colors is complementary. Red and green are complementary colors that we see in holiday designs. Split complementary colors can be fun. Look at the red apple with soft yellow-green and bold blue-green. Triad colors create a lovely quilt. Look at a quilt made with red, yellow, and blue. Quite nice. Start looking at colors as you purchase your fabrics. Your pattern tells you how much fabric you will need for your projects and how to cut them. Fabric is first woven on a loom and then printed with the design on the front of the fabric. It is folded in half with right sides of the fabric showing. It is rolled onto a bolt and sent to the store. The bolt is the cardboard that the manufacturer uses and contains the name of the manufacturer, the cotton polyester content of the fabric, the name of the design, and the price of the fabric. Previously, you learned to use the 6.5 ruler as a measuring tool. Because your main fabric needs to be cut in 7-inch strip, you will need to use the cutting mat as your measuring tool. Line up the fabric to the corner with the fold lining on the top line. Measure over 7 inches. Using a ruler and your rotary cutter, cut on the 7-inch line. Continue cutting your fabric as per your pattern. Not all fabrics are the same width because they are made on different looms by different manufacturers. So you need to cut off the selvage side and make all strips the same width. For me, I cut at the 21.5-inch line and I cut off the selvage ends. Lay out the pattern. Now it's time to fold each piece into fourths and iron. This leaves an iron mark. If you want, you can also mark the fourths with a pencil. Using this technique will prevent the fabric from moving and twisting as you sew. Using your pattern as a guide, Take your folded fabric and line up the pieces. Make sure you line up right sides together. Continue assembling your quilt. When you are finished, go ahead and square up the sides. You might have to take off about 1/2 to 1 inch to make the sides straight. Measure your quilt top. Now it's time to sandwich the quilt. Start with your batting. Your batting usually has one very straight side. We're going to use that straight side as our guide. On that straight side, we're going to put the backing. The backing will be right side up. Now it's time to add the quilt top. The quilt top will be right side down. And everything should be aligned to that straight side. Now you can see that they don't all match on the other sides. So now it's time to cut off the fabrics even to the quilt top. Your quilt top is your guide. Pin around the quilt top, securing all pieces of fabric. Now you're ready to sew. Remember though, when you sew, you need to leave at least an 8-inch opening. After you've sewn, clip your corners. Now turn the fabric inside out, and we're going to now finish off the open corner. Iron down the 1/2 inch seam allowance on both sides of the quilt. You'll need a needle and thread. We're going to close that up just lovely. You will see. Thread your needle with about a yard of thread. Bring your needle up through the fabric to the fold of the fabric and secure the knot. This knot will be secured inside. Now you take 1/4 of an inch stitch on the opposite side, right on the fold. Then you move to the other side and take 1/4 of an inch right on the fold. And then you move to the opposite side and take 1/4 of an inch right on the fold. You do that about 2 or 3 times, and then you will see some magic happen. Now it's time to pull on the string, and you will see your seam come together. When you're at the end, this is how you finish it. You just put a knot in the end, and then you pull your needle through the fabric, the sandwich fabric, and pull it out. And you clip off the tail, and the tail is secure in the blanket and nobody ever sees it. And look at your nicely finished seam. It's time to mark your quilts for your ties. I mark mine about every 4 inches, and I use chalk. But if you have a light pencil, you could use a light pencil, but realizing that you have to remove that mark sooner or later. And this time I am using a crochet thread for my tie, but you can use a yarn, and it goes pretty quickly. As you tie, make sure you do a double knot, and then clip off the threads to about an inch and a quarter. I'm so excited to see the finished product. And here we have our finished quilt. Nicely done, huh, Inchworm? Yes, they did a good job. We'll see you next time for Inchworm 103. Say bye-bye.